I just had a little hiccup. I don't know. Basically okay, I think we're good. What was happening was the screen was locked vertically. I don't want to be in landscape. So I'm not going to waste too much time. Let's just talk about inflation. Most people don't understand inflation at all. Even if you think you do, you probably don't. I don't mean that in a condescending way. Most people just don't understand inflation. And that's okay. You don't really have to understand it to that level, but you should understand the concept of it. Most people think of inflation as rising. It's not what inflation is. That is the effect of inflation, right? Inflation, expansion of the money supply or the credit supply. The rising prices is just an effect. And for a really long time, the excess liquidity from the expansion of the money supply and the credit supply was going into financial assets. And so your average everyday person wasn't effects as bad as they otherwise should have been. But don't get it twisted. That is what inflation is. It is expanding the money supply. Prices going up, that's not inflation. Prices could go up for a lot of reasons, right? Shortage of a given commodity that's used to make something. That's going to go up. That's not inflation. That's just the price going up, supply and demand. Inflation is a monetary phenomenon and to some extent a fiscal phenomenon. So when we talk about inflation, we need to be clear about that. Now, in regard to why inflation is going to get worse in 2025 and beyond, we just have to look at the numbers, right? The economy is not strong. Right now, the economy isn't at all. We were going on this hiking cycle, and now we're going on this cutting cycle. Economies that are strong do not need artificially low interest rates. Now, the AI just came in, and it was bad, but it was expected to be bad. So basically, the CPI was higher than it should be according to what their goal is, but it was expecting. So it wasn't a panic. Flip side is the PPI. The PPI, which measures inflation from a business standpoint, was much worse than they were expecting. Now, here's why that's important. The PPI is important because when that is higher than the CPI, the PPI is businesses, right? Producers, things like that. So if that's higher than the CPI, what ends up happening is it means businesses are experiencing inflation first, right? And so what ends up happening, there's a lag where the businesses will experience inflation first, and they will pass those costs on to the consumer. So the recent numbers that just came out showed, consumer inflation is bad, but it had level to expectations. Whereas the business side of inflation was bad, but also worse than what was expected. And so what this signals is inflation for the consumer is going to get worse. It's just a lag because the businesses haven't passed on those costs yet that they are experiencing. Because businesses generally, believe it or not, don't want to raise their prices because it's they have to re-coordinate everything in their business when they do that. And so what's going to end up happening is there's going to be a delay and inflation is going to get worse for your average consumer. Now, when we talk about inflation in 2025, it's very simple. It's going to just get worse. At the end of the day, and I know there's a lot of people who are very excited over Trump, and I get it. I personally did not vote, but if I had to vote, if I was forced to vote, is he better than Kamala? In my opinion, yes. But don't get it twisted. This mess, this financial, this fiscal mess that the country is in, is way beyond Trump. Trump is not going to be able to fix this problem because this problem has been a problem for like the past. So at the end of the day, you're not really going to see any austerity, which is what we need, because austerity is painful, right? What the country needs is someone to come in, put on a Paul Volcker, raise interest rates, to restrictive levels, big budget cuts across the board. It's going to be painful, but nobody wants that. Nobody wants to go through the pain of an actual, an actual austerity, right? Nobody wants that. And the very nature of politics is, someone gets in, they want to make the people happy. And unfortunately, and I know Trump is putting together this Doge commission, and yeah, they'll be able to cut some things, find some waste, fraud, and abuse, right? Sure, there's going to be some positive things from that. But again, don't get it. Where we are now is way beyond waste, fraud, and abuse. You can get all the waste, fraud, and abuse you want. There's still going to be a massive, inconsistency between money in and money out. And the problem is, right now the government and the Fed they're kind of between a rock and a hard place, because if they go through with any type of austerity, let's raise rates, let's cut spending, all this stuff. When you raise rates, all the debt that has to be refinanced, that matures, you're gonna have to refinance that at higher rates, so it's more expensive for the government. On the flip side, if you keep rates artificially low, then you keep having all this excess liquidity coming into the marketplace. And so it's kind of like a pick your poison, where neither choice is ideal. Both choices are going to have consequences. Now, certainly, it's possible to kick the can down the road some more, and there's other things that can be done to delay the pain. And sure, you might get away with that, right? You might kick it down the road another 8 years even. But at the end of the day, there's no escaping it. The government is spending money they do not have. And when you do that, that is inflationary, because you're spending resources that you don't have. So at the end of the day, I don't see any outlook in which inflation doesn't get worse. I think maybe, they stop it from getting out of control, right? Maybe it stays at 0.5 to 3% at best case scenario. But even that is higher than what even the Fed wants, which is 2%. Now, they shouldn't want any inflation, Keynesian myth, but there's no way to escape, when the government, spends money they don't have, they're monetizing the debt, right? Because all that is demand in the economy. And so there's no escape, there's no way out of it, I am surprised that the dollar is as strong as it is right now, knowing what I know. I just think the markets are fooled. Why would anyone want to hold dollars right now is beyond me. I can't think of a reason. I mean, yeah, maybe you want a really liquid asset, sure. But if you're holding anything, dollars, anything beyond a year, I mean, why would you want to? Why wouldn't you rather own any other asset, right? Gold, crypto, Bitcoin, silver, oil, it is. There's really no reason why any investor would want to own dollars right now. So my outlook beyond this year is inflation's going to get worse. It might not be immediate. We short-term relief, sure. No, I'm not blaming Trump. It's well beyond Donald Trump. It's a problem that is, Trump is here, and this problem has been going on for longer. So at the end of the day, do what you want to do. It's not financial advice, but if you're heavy into dollars, into cash right now, you may want to rethink that, and possibly take advantage of a artificially strong dollar in terms of bonds and things like that. But that is my outlook. Not trying to doom and gloom, but it's not good. The country, America, is not in a good place financially at all. So yeah, that's all I could really say. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, share it, and I'll catch you next time, guys.